All right. How are
All
you
right.
doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, good. Good to hear.
Yeah, not in my
This is,
normal studio this week. I'm traveling, doing some
yeah.
repairs on a house.
Oh, dang, quite the handyman.
Yeah. Just a little
Nice.
slow because like there's months in between doing it, so I kind of have to relearn every time.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And you what, just watch YouTube videos on it?
Yes.
Yeah, you can learn a ton of stuff on YouTube these days. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
and
you do have to filter through. Like some of the videos with the most views are people who are doing it for their first time. So you have to like
mhm.
find the actual good channels.
Yeah. But it really, sometimes I'll be watching something on YouTube and then I'm trying to learn something, like for example, I need to do something around the house, or I'm trying to do like cook something that I've never done before, and I Google it and it comes out on YouTube, and I go on the video and I learn something. I'm always amazed at even the most obscure things I can find somebody to teach me on YouTube. And
Mhm.
it is so great that some of these people, there are people out there who just thought, okay, someone might want to know about this, and then they create a video and put it out there on the internet for people,
Yeah.
just in
So
case.
hopefully some people find our conversation interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it brings us to why we wanted to start this podcast in the first place, right?
Correct.
Yeah, who knows, like whatever we are talking about is something that interests someone, and one of the big thing is we can learn from whoever is listening, and then from their comments, and a lot of times it's just from each other, like between the conversation between you and I just learn a lot from you too.
I learned from you too.
Yeah, I think that's how this idea for this podcast started in the first place.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one of
Do
the
you want
things I do want to learn today is a little bit about you. Why do you
to?
want to
Yeah.
do this?
Okay. Um, well, so maybe a little bit of background for the listeners. The idea for this podcast came just a couple of months ago when you and I were on a road trip, right? We were going from Florida to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and we were listening to podcasts on the drive there. And it just occurred to me like, hey, we always have great conversations, like the two of us, and I always miss that whenever we are apart. And then I always get reminded of how nice it is to pick your brain about stuff, and just the different things that we get to talk about whenever we meet each other for either our travels or just for our catch up. And it's such a great opportunity to start this podcast, and then we can have regular conversations like that instead of waiting till for months until we get to travel together.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's how the idea started. But my goal, let's see, you say, what do I want to achieve from this? Uh, you know, a big part of it is just listen to what you think about whatever topics we decide to talk about, because you always have point of view that is not necessarily the same as my point of view. So it's always good to listen to what you have to say, and then probably challenge my own thinking about different subjects. Um, and I just in general enjoy talking to you. I don't claim to be an expert in any of the things that we talk about. So I think this is just more of a ex uh exploration. Like we learn about the things that we are talking about from each other, from other people, and then just challenge our thinking.
I like that.
What about you?
I have more questions for you first. Who is
Mm-hmm.
Glamis?
Oh, okay. Well, I think we can give I mean you know me pretty well. We've known each other for more than 10 years now, I think. Sorry, probably at least 12 years, in fact. Closer to 12 years. So you know me pretty well. This is just mainly for the benefit of our listeners who probably tuning in for the first time. So a little bit about myself. I'm Glamis from Singapore. I met Tim about 12 years ago when we were in USAFA together, the United States Air Force Academy. We were in the same squadron, complete opposites in terms of personalities and our social circles back then, I would say. Yeah, he was an athlete and I was just pretty much a nerd, I think, studying all the time. But a little bit about myself. My interest is we graduated USAFA together, and then after that I went back to Singapore, had a short time in the Singapore Air Force. After that I joined the commercial flying. I was with Scoot as flying the Airbus A320, and now I'm with Emirates flying the A380 as a first officer. I graduated USAFA with a degree in astronautical engineering. Not to be confused with aeronautical. um, but that leads me to one of my biggest interests, which is space. You know, I've always wanted to go to space. A lot of the decisions I took, in terms of what do I study, the books that I read, um, all stem from my desire to go to space and my interest in just the astronomy in astronomy. Then I went to the US and I grew a lot, changed a lot of my thinking. That's the place where I got to be interested in politics because you know Americans really love their politics. We are not that politically active in Singapore, or at least my generation was not while we were growing up. But I can see people getting more and more politically involved. So I like that. My education in USAFA exposed me to a lot of humanities, which I was not exposed to as much when I was in Singapore because I just chose all the math and sciences for my goal to be an astronaut, you know. But since we had the core curriculum, I learned about philosophy and social sciences, and that really made me uh, generated a lot of interest in a bunch of different topics. Um, so I'm just a curious person in general. So any topic that I do not know about, I want to learn about it. I maybe in varying levels of depth, but I'm always interested in learning something new.
According to college academics, would they rank you as smart?
Well, if we are talking about the traditional sense, I guess they would, because the GPA, I mean, there's the only way they can grade people, which is based on the GPA. In USAFA, we didn't have the like summa cum laude, all that kind of different uh, grades for graduates, but I was a distinguished graduate in USAFA. I think that is the top 20% of graduates academically. Sorry, I can't hear you right now.
Weren't you
Oh, I
top
think
1%?
I guess so. You can put it that way. Um, I think academically I was number two in our class.
So all those math and sciences paid off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested in those topics, you know. Back back before I completed my education, I always thought, okay, that is the the most important thing, like engineering, math, and science, that's the path towards achieving my goal. But then I've since matured and thought differently, a lot differently. The one thing I always like to say is like the engineering and the sciences and the math makes life possible in our day-to-day life, but the arts, like humanities, music, that makes life worth living. So you need to have a combination of the two. And so I would love to explore topics from either ends of the spectrum.
What kind of things do you do for fun?
Well, for fun, I used to really just focus a lot on just the the sciences, learning about space stuff, and then I love biology, any sort of science. I'm very interested in it. So I watch when I was younger, when we didn't have YouTube, I watched a lot of documentaries like on National Geographic. Those kind of things interest me a lot. I can spend hours watching these things. So these days, I spend a lot of time on YouTube learning a bunch of various topics. Like it could be about animals, about life sciences, the human body, and then but on top of that, my interest has expanded to the arts now these days, right? So I'm interested in filmmaking, how filmmakers tell stories through their movies or TV shows, writing in for telling stories, cinematography for how they choose to film something, the color grading, how they want to express something through non-verbal means. I'm very interested in that. Composition for photography. So I'm not an expert in any of these things. I'm just interested in learning about them. And then I got interested in cooking in the last few years. So I watch a lot of cooking shows, like how-to cooking shows. And then whenever I have the time, I just experiment with them at home. Besides that, I love my friends. I spend a lot of time with friends, so I like to hang out with people, like just being in social settings.
Me too.
Mm. You got any more questions?
Is there anything else you want the listeners to know about you?
Mm, let's see. I I I am very open-minded person. I'm a very open-minded person, so I like to talk to people and learn about what makes them tick. And I don't I'm open to be convinced by other people, but even if I'm not, I would never feel that so I mean there are many things that I mean you can't say something is black and white. There are many things that are not black and white. So I I I don't believe that I need to impose my views on other people. I just state what I believe in. Like to listen to why people believe in something. One of the things I like to one analogy I like to use is, for example, when we are sharing our point of views, and then somebody say like, "No, you're wrong. It should be this." For many of these topics, it is like a personal thing. You can't say that somebody is wrong just because they disagree with you or they have a different preference, because it's like I ask you what is your favorite color and you tell me red, and I was like, nope, that's wrong, it should be blue, right? Or what's your favorite food? It's just a personal preference kind of thing. So I believe in that a lot. So that's why I think we can like talk about a whole bunch of stuff under the sun.
Yeah. If you ask my wife, she'll tell you that if she doesn't agree with me, I tell her she's wrong. But that's only
Yeah.
because I'm not going to argue with you unless I think I'm right. and I'm not going to argue on a topic where there is no right answer. I'll debate
Yeah,
it just to like think differently.
exactly. Like I agree. Like a lot of times, somehow, like when I'm just debating on something, uh, it makes it seem like I'm like in an argument. I'm like, no, I'm just, we just explore the ideas and make us think more deeply about the subject. Otherwise, if you are in your own echo chamber, you're never gonna expand the way you think about something.
Yeah, sometimes I like to just play the devil's advocate in a debate just to
Yeah.
think the opposite of what I actually think.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one thing I really appreciate that about you because it is a very very difficult thing to do, like self-examination, uh, to be able to challenge your own thinking because most of the time you believe in something many people don't ask themselves why do I believe in that how do I come to this logical conclusion am I being mistaken somewhere. It's a very difficult thing to do. In fact, I believe I read a book about the Mossad, which is like the Israelis I guess CIA or spy agency, and I think I can't remember the exact incident. They are known to be able to take the collect intelligence and then prevent attacks on Israel, uh, to a fairly high level of degree accuracy. But I think something happened, and in the aftermath of it, they were just examining their processes of um evaluating these pieces of intelligence that they have taken, they have collected, and how find out why did they not come up with the conclusion that could have stopped that thing from happening. And they realized that they had this, I guess, board of 10 people, I think, or 12 people, uh, and they are the ones who are supposed to decide, okay, are these things actionable or not. And for the particular incident, all of them believe that okay, nothing is gonna happen. So after this after this incident, they put it in that one of these members on the board, he's supposed to be the devil's, he or she is supposed to be the devil's advocate. If more than like two-thirds or three-quarters of the board members believe in something, he must disagree and put out um, pointers so that they can all debate on it.
Is that a real thing, or did you just read the book World War Z?
No, no, I didn't read. I think it was from the book of I can't remember the title of the book right now, but I read a particular book about the Mossad. But I could be wrong. I read so many books, it could be convoluted. And then many of these things they like to put urban legend or myths out there. But um, even if it's not true, it is a good idea, you know, because it's such a difficult thing to self-examine that you need someone. Many times it's useful to have someone out there um playing the devil's advocate for you.
I agree. I wish that happened more in politics, where you'd have Republicans, Democrats, independents all advising the top leaders instead of just whoever's elected that one side.
Mm, yeah, that's right. you know so but like we our political systems are pretty extreme, different from each other. You guys are so I mean, you guys have a healthy discourse, so but a lot of times it leads to political stalemate and many things don't get done. Whereas in Singapore, we have the same ruling party since we got independence, so they make all the decisions. Uh, you don't have that kind of stalemate, so whatever political agendas they want to achieve, they can achieve because they make the decisions. I'm not saying I can't say which is better because if you do not have debate, healthy debate, if you have bad people in power, then you're just going to go down a bad path. But if you have too much debate, then nothing is ever going to get it done.
Yeah, but I kind of like when the government doesn't do anything. They should just focus on getting smaller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, a lot of their job is meant to make people's lives better, right? Today I was just watching a video about the construction of one of the metro lines that Singapore is planning to build to be ready by the 2030s. And this plan was first announced back in 2013. So that's like 11 years later, and they're finally um able to start construction. And a lot of the delay was because they spent 6 years doing an environmental study because and finding a way to construct the line underneath our nature reserve. And I was just watching a video about that. So one of the members of the Nature Society in Singapore said that when the government and the engineers went in to do the survey of the bedrock and the just the soil, zero trees were cut down for the construction project, which I thought was really amazing. And it's the kind of projects that will improve the lives of Singaporeans when they make their daily commute. And these are the kind of projects that governments are supposed to do, that private organizations are unable to um, do this. So they do have their users.
Sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much about myself. I'm sure as we, talk to each other, um, every week, listeners will learn more about the two of us, what we think about, what makes us tick. Just like how you and I got to know each other. This is pretty much like a relationship that we will have with the listeners. I will hope that whatever we say, we are just being ourselves, we are genuine, and weekly we'll get to learn more about each other. And I'm looking forward to not just talking with you, but like seeing the comments that people would have about the things that we talk about because uh we get to see how they think, and probably get to know some of our regular listeners. Who knows?
Yeah, and hopefully they poke holes in what we say. I like
Mm-hmm.
learning when I'm wrong.
Exactly, exactly. And then like I'm sure you think the same as I do. Like I said before earlier, I'm no expert in any of these things that we are talking about. Our goal is to just to learn together, um, challenge our own thinking, and just see where we go. Like hopefully either strengthen our point of view or change our point of view
Agreed.
about different subjects. What about you? I had the same how do I say? I had the same plan to ask you these questions as well, because we thought it would be a nice uh way for us to introduce ourselves to the listeners.
Yeah. Um, when I talk about myself, I'll do my own episode. This one's just about you.
What? Okay. I don't know if I have so much stuff to talk about in one episode.
Well, do you think people got to know you a little bit? Anything else you want to say before we run out of time?
Yeah, I think people would that's pretty much what makes me tick these days. What they have to know is I have a big variety of interests, and my goal is to learn. So, and just share my thoughts about whatever we want to talk about.
That's good to know. I enjoyed learning a little bit more about you.
Yeah. Even though we already know each other for 12 years, I'm sure we still have a lot to learn.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, it was a pleasure getting to know you. Hopefully, the listeners learn something, and they'll learn
Yes.
more if they listen more.
Yeah, hope to just have people keep coming back, and then we will see what kind of topics that we can explore together and learn together.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.